Hey guys, so we're back again for another episode of Star. This is episode 4, All Falls Down. So, anywho, so we start off the episode with the girls, they're listening to their track because they still trying to put their album together, and they got all these venues that they all got going on for themselves, and, you know, Star ends up getting her check from Miss Bruce late from her diss track or whatever, and she ends up realizing that half her money was gone because Maurice ended up taking the vast majority of it because he made himself the producer of the track. I mean, at the end of the day, that should have been something that you honestly should have thought about when you made the video, because he was the one who made the beat for you. You just performed the track. So, ooh, child, that's good. But yeah, so you should have saw that one coming. But at the end of the day, I understand where she's coming from. So meanwhile, we get to the club or whatever, and Maurice is hanging out with all his friends and groupies and whatnot, and I spot one of them being motherfucking Mimi Faust from motherfucking Love of Hip Hop Atlanta. I said, Mimi, shit. You had Jocelyn on this shit last season, and now you got Mimi? Girl, Lee Daniels, stop it, okay? You got all the... Damn, it's like, girl, you just trying to get your coin since last season just ended. Okay, shit, do what you gotta do. So then, we get Maurice's ex-wife coming in, and pretty much they ended up divorced because of the simple fact that we find out later on that he pretty much owed her an apology and a conversation and all this other stuff because he used to play football back in the day, and he ended up getting an injury real bad from it, and at that point he ended up taking his pain and using it to replace that with other women, and that's something that affected their marriage, and it ended up causing them the divorce and shit. So he's trying to win her back, and she's like, "No, bitch, I don't want your ass. Bye." So then Noah comes in, and he tries to introduce them to each other, and of course she wasn't interested. So later, Star comes in and practically confronts him about the whole situation about her wanting her money back, and she ends up taking the glass bottle and she don't smash the shit out of all the glass bottles up in that container. I said, you know the fuck what, Star, you ain't shit, but I like you for that one because that was... Oh, that was crazy, but that was stupid. But that was crazy. Okay. Yeah, don't steal from the baby. So we get Carlotta, and this is why I feel like this episode really lived up by its name, because Carlotta has really fell the fuck down. And throughout the episode, we see that it's building up to her completely crashing down. So she's working her ass off, and Cotton comes in begging and pleading her to go ahead and get some rest and go to sleep and whatnot. And once she finally gets her in bed, she ends up dreaming about losing her heel and all this other shit. And this causes her to end up going straight back to work. And I'm like, I knew it. I saw that shit coming the second Cotton put her in the bed. Girl, you can't tell me nothing. I know that shit very well, okay? I've seen it and I lived it, okay? I know exactly how Carlotta feels. And this is why this episode in particular really made me feel some type of way, because it really... How Carlotta has been throughout this whole episode is something that I can relate to, because I'm going through the same thing with my college classes right now as I'm recording with y'all. So it's kind of like I felt Carlotta. I felt her pain. I understand where she was coming from and why she's so invested in working so hard. I get that. So, it is what it is. So then we get to the next scene. This is how I knew that Olivia was crazy as shit. Because in last week's episode, I watched Ashley's review of the show, and she pointed out something that I didn't even realize. Near the end of last week's episode, when Alex and Derek were together, and we get that scene where the camera pans towards the picture frame. I did not notice that there was a fucking red dot that was reflecting to the damn mirror. I said, you know the fuck what? Because we get to this scene where Derek finds Alex in bed, and he's trying to get some puss or whatever, and she ends up getting a text from Olivia knowing if she's going to bring her some coffee since they're planning to get together later on that day. And she tries to solidify that Olivia's still grieving. And at this point, child, me and Derek were on the same page. We're not buying that shit. This bitch is on some shit. She's coming off too strong. You just met this bitch. And right now, she's coming off too strong. And I agree with that. And of course, you get Olivia literally watching them having sex, and she ends up literally mimicking what they're doing with her stuffed animals on her bed. I said, this is... What the fuck? Lee Daniels, where the fuck are you going with this? Like, this is on some lesbian type... let me not say that. I take that back. Like, this is on some Lucius and Claudia type shit, but on a freaky ass, scory ass level. Because this shit right here, Anyway, so we find out that Andy is still alive because he's gagged down and tied up into this chair. Getting his ass beat by Mike. Then Cassie comes in, pretty much taking over the situation from there, and she lets him know that when she gets her money, she kills him, she'll be done with this life. I said, you sure about that, girl? Because you still got to do with Xander and that little favor that y'all got going on, and knowing that he's still playing your ass. Yeah, I don't know about that, but okay. I mean, do what you gotta do, Cassie. Whatever. And at this point, I honestly felt bad for Andy at this point because he is really like at his wit's end with this whole situation. Because it's like, honestly, I feel bad that he went through what he went through this episode. But at the same time, I still don't like him, and I still don't, want to say all that. Only because of the simple fact that at the end of the day, all of that would have been easily avoided had you just stayed gone. Had you disappeared and never came back, none of this would have happened to you. So at the end of the day, that's why it's kind of hard for me to really feel bad for him, because all of this that's happening to him throughout this episode would have been avoided had he just stayed his ass gone. So, it is what it is. So, Simone is still upset over the fact that Mateo's wife and Mateo are still together, even though her little plan of exposing him in the interview last week, backfired. And she had to let her know that there's rules and that he broke them. And she also lets her know that Simone is going to be introducing them throughout the event that Carlotta has with this long ass speech. And she's practically worried as fuck about it. And I completely understand where that's coming from. So speaking of the event, we get Carlotta coming in with the plan with the multimedia festival called Rhythms and Blues. And all she's looking for is a host to help out with the event. And she's invested in this guy named Ryan French, played by Terrence J. And I'm sitting here like, Terrence J? Okay. Alright. Haven't seen you in a good minute, but that's cute or whatever. So Carlotta finds him, and she's trying to get him to help host the event and whatnot, but he ends up backing out at first because of all the bullshit that Gravity Falls is dealing with and all this other stuff. So he doesn't. So he's already assuming that all the bullshit that Mateo has invested into the company and into the label, that he believes and assumes that Carlotta is the same way. Hey, how you doing? So he believes that Carlotta is pretty much going to be the same way, since she's running the company and whatnot, and she tries to assure to him that she's not like that, and the only way how she feels is if that she's going to be able to get his interest to come and host the event is if Alex performs, since she already figured that he's a big fan of Alex. So that eventually gets his interests. So that's already set for the game. So then we later on see her storming into the office, and all the girls are complaining about all their personal situations. And Carlotta had to let everyone know, look, Star, you're gonna have to find the money your damn self. Simone, you got this. It's just a damn speech. Get the fuck over it. And Alex, you're gonna be performing the solo for the damn performance because you are you are Gravity Media's strongest social standing. So you're gonna have to be the one to perform it. And that's that. So later on, she ends up going through all of that, and when she gets home, still negotiating her business ventures for the event, she ends up finding all these driver contractors, trying to tow away High Heels RV, and come to find out, Cotton was the one who called them over to take it down because she needed to let Carmela know that at the end of the day, you're stressed out. You need help. You need to lay down and get some rest and move on from High Heel's death, because at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to find change if you hold this shit on. It's just not going to happen. But of course, Carlotta wasn't here for it, since she practically snapped, saying that she'll rip them apart if they were to take the damn RV. I said, Carlotta, you better stop, girl, because what? Girl, it wouldn't be me. It would not be me. I would have... At that moment, child, I would have just said, bitch, take it, because I need to move on from this shit. So then we get Noah, who wants to confront Maurice about what happened between him and Star, and he quickly dismisses that, and he offers to plan Noah to have him, perform, once a week, and that's when Noah realizes that he was tricked into signing on to Cassie and Maurice into their contract because he was denied of the creative freedom that he was promised if he were to sign with them. And at that point, now all Noah wants to do is sign himself out of the contract so that he can get the creative freedom that he wanted. So then we get Star meeting up with him, and he tells her that he wants to be able to quit out of the contract, and she tells him that he needs to go ahead and sign out, but he knows that it ain't gonna be easy. So then, she lets him know that she's planning on getting her money back from Maurice, and she's planning on trying to figure out what she's gonna do. And she lets him know that she's going to try to figure out a way that's going to help hit him where it hurts. Then we get this quick scene with Maurice, heading back to his ex's office or whatever, trying to persuade her with dinner and shit like that. And she's still not here for it. I said, Maurice, get the fuck over it. This is just another segment of Niggas and Their Feelings, starring Maurice. So then we get Olivia and Alex, they're in the studio. Olivia literally just snapping pictures of Alex like every flipping second. Like she didn't even give time for the damn camera to even process the fucking pictures that she's already taken. Like she's just out here. She talking about some... Oh my gosh, like this is amazing. Like I am actually in the studio with motherfucking Alex Crane. I said, girl, if you don't give that damn camera a break. So Derek comes in and he tries to get Alex to come to dinner with them. And that's when Olivia decides to excuse herself out for a second since Derek wants to take some alone time to talk to Alex real quick. She steps out of the other side of the a recording booth and turns up the volume so that she can eavesdrop on what the fuck they were talking about. I said, this crazy bitch is at it again. Because she overhears them talking about how Derek feels like that she needs to be careful, that Alex needs to be careful with her trusting Olivia off this quickly since the bitch is practically crazy and that she's coming off too damn strong. And again, she done met the bitch and all this other stuff. Keep in mind, he did keep this in mind for later on, because Derek did mention that she's coming off too strong and he needs to be careful. Keep that in mind later on, because you're going to see how crazy this bitch really is when we get down to this review. Because I'm sitting here like, Alex, you really need to listen to Derek because he is telling the deep ass truth. You need to be careful with this truth. So then we get Noah, who walks in to meet up with his ex-wife. His ex-wife. Shit, get your words together. Maurice's ex-wife, since Star already gave him the idea earlier that he needs to figure out a way how he needs to go and hit Maurice where it hurts. So at this point, this is where Noah gets back into my good graces because he ends up getting professional advice to look into his contract to find his weakness to break out of it. And I'm sitting here like, Noah, you a good boy. You are finally making sense again. You realize your mistake. You realize you fucked up, and you're getting yourself back into my good graces. And that's all that I need. You are, boy, I like you. I like you. So then we get Xander coming in to comfort Cassie. She's stressed and worried about cleaning up all the dirty laundry and all the dirty cash that she was making so that she can try to be legit, as she says, just to start clean or whatever. And Xander had to let her dumbass know, bitch, at the end of the day, stop trying to be somebody you not. You always gonna be that hood ass bitch. You always gonna be that dirty ass drug dealer. That's just who you is. You built that reputation and you've lived with that reputation for a long ass time. Therefore, bitch, you finna deal with it. Get over it. You ain't gonna change. You and I both know that shit. And clearly she wasn't here for it since that clearly struck a nerve and she practically kicked his ass out of the office since she didn't want to hear that. I said, girl, please. So then we get Carlotta. She's listening to Yolanda Adams' Be Blessed song. And she takes a minute with herself to, just process what she's going through. And she ends up singing along to the track. And I'm sitting here like, girl, that scene right there when she was listening to Yolanda Adams, I was sitting here like, I almost cried with her. Because again, like I said, I felt her pain. I know where she's coming from and I know how she feels. I get it. Oh, like the stress and the anxiety and all the other pressures that you got going on. Like, girl, I get it. I get it. Like, oh my goodness. It was such an emotional moment for me. And yeah. So later we get to the night of the event, and Miss Bruce tries to help comfort her and to tell her that she needs to get some rest and that she needs to get some professional help. And at this point, I get that she's trying to, let God handle things and all this other stuff. But I feel like sometimes you might need to go ahead and try to talk to somebody about your problems and just let your feelings out, because it's not healthy for you to just hold everything in and just keep it all to yourself, because bitch, you're finna crack. And we're finna see that later on this episode. So Mateo ends up meeting up with Ryan, and Ryan is still not here for it since he's still believing the whole thing that him and Carlotta are still the same. And at this point, Alex is their only hope. Meanwhile, Cassie comes in and decides to let Andy free. And promises that he will never come back, and if he does, she's really going to have to kill him because she's trying to, give off her clean image. So she doesn't want to do anything that's going to disrupt that clean image. So, it is what it is. So we get Jackson and Star. Jackson tries to tell Star that she needs to calm down, but of course she's not listening, and he ends up joining her and getting Maurice back. So later on, they get to this club or whatever, and they break into his office. They get into the club and they break into his office, and at this point, Jackson pretty much is at that point where he's more concerned with the baby's future and the baby's safety more than anything. And he tries to let her know that at the end of the day, you can't just sit here and just expect for other people not to want to come in and help you out and all this other stuff. And as soon as she found the money, he quickly flipped the switch and said that I'm gonna ride for you and that I love you. I said, Jackson, you ain't shit. You ain't shit, okay? That's just what it is. At this point, I'm just like, Jackson, just let it go and just let Star be Star. Because that's just what it is. Meanwhile, we get this quick scene where Derek is leaving out of the same club that everybody else was at, and he practically nearly gets jumped by two dudes, and I think one of them ended up being Mike. And the police comes in, and I'm like, oh shit, they're gonna get arrested since both them boys don't fled off the scene. And I'm sitting here like, Lord. So then we get backstage, and Olivia comes in, and she tells Alex, I don't want you to think that I'm coming off too strong, but pause. In that moment, Alex, you should have known right then and there that she was eavesdropping on your situation, or that you should have known that something was up the second that she said, I don't want you to think that I'm coming off too strong. Because first of all, how the fuck would you know anything about you trying to come off too strong to me? As if you were listening to me and shit like that. And I'm sitting here like, girl, you are not seeing, how are you not seeing this shit? It is clear as day that this girl ain't right. I can't. So before the event, Mateo's wife, she has to let Simone know that there's been a few changes with the speech and that they're going to have it projected in the sonogram. And Simone's pissed because she had the original speech memorized and now she's nervous as ever about it. So she runs off to the studio, and Mateo's wife ended up having to comfort her to let her know that she's going to be fine. But Simone is more worried about the simple fact that if she mess up, then she's going to end up being replaced by somebody else, causing her to lose her role in the movie. And she's more worried about that, losing all of that, since Take 3 is all she has other than that movie role. So I get it, but at the end of the day, I'm like, girl, just read the damn sonogram. I mean, what's the worst that you can really do? There has been many incidents where a lot of people has been reading off sonograms and they were either off key or they made it too damn obvious or that they just sucked. So it is what it is, girl. You'll be fine. Just read the damn thing and you'll be done with it. Shit. So we get to the event, and in the midst of Ryan's speech, he makes a statement that everybody needed to go ahead and make a moment of silence for those who died from gun violence, since the event was supposed to be a fundraising promotion for gun violence and all this other stuff. And as soon as he was naming all the people that died, Carlotta ends up thinking about Hahil, of course, and I'm just sitting here like, girl. So then we get to Alex performing her solo Breathe. And at this moment, Olivia barges in and performs with Alex. And I said, this bitch is crazy as that shit. You know the fuck what? I'm done. This cannot go on for another episode, but unfortunately it is, because next week's episode, bitch, we finna get there. So of course this pisses everybody off, and Alex confronts Olivia about her coming in and ruining her performance, and Olivia gives off this fake ass Academy Award winning performance talking about some I'm sorry. I thought that you needed help. I knew that you were nervous, and that me and Bianca, we used to do this. We used to do this all the time. This was our thing. This is what we did. You know what? It's messed up of what you did, but I just don't want you to do it again. Okay, thanks. Hugsies. I said those fake ass tears went by so quickly. As soon as Alex quickly forgave her, I'm like, girl, Olivia is trash. Olivia is trash. So we get Ryan, who's clearly pissed about the whole thing, and Carlotta promises that she's nothing like Mateo's messy ass, and of course he gets interested. So then we get Jackson and Star. They're back home, enjoying all the money that they took back and shit. And then Maurice storms in, demanding his money back and demanding all the stuff that they took. And Jackson ends up taking the rings and all this other stuff back to Maurice. And this clearly pisses Star off. But at the end of the day, I understand where the situation is from both sides. But at the end of the day, I still don't give a shit. I really don't. I mean, it is what it is. So at this point, Andy tries to make a run for it, and he ends up getting chased down by Mike. And in the midst of the chase, he gets ran over, and he ends up losing his tooth in the process. So he ends up going back to Carlotta so that he can get help. But by the time, Carlotta tried to, call 911 and all this other stuff, he ends up dying right in her arms. And I said, shit. See, this would have all been avoided had you just stayed gone. You really wouldn't have died had you just stayed gone. But it is what it is. He had to come in since the minute he decided to fuck with Cassie, so it is what it is. So at this point, this breaks Carlotta down to the deep end. Since now she feels like that she done lost, that she done felt responsible for losing two people, and the second that the coroners came in and carried the body away, she ends up getting a call from Mateo over doing more work, and she ends up getting back to work. And I said, Carlotta, you are going to stress yourself out to death. Like, stop it. So then we get Xander coming back to Cassie, and she's not here for him for what he did and what he tried to do to her. And he tries to sweet talk her since he pretended to feel bad for her and all this other stuff. And Cassie ends up believing that she will never be clean and all this other stuff, and ends up making out with him. And I'm like, see, he's playing you, and he already got in your head with your dumb ass. So then we get this scene with Star, accepting the fact that she's not going to be able to steal back the money, and that she's going to have to figure out another way how she's going to get the money. And Jackson tells her that he got a studio, and that they can come up with something to help, raise the money and all this other shit. And Star was pissed that he told her at the last minute. So, they both end up appreciating the fact that they're both ain't shit, and they end up trying to fuck over it. And I said, ew. Noah comes in to let Maurice know that you ain't going to downplay me like this, and that I'm going to be performing 2 nights a month, and that I want a bigger set than the one that you got here in this club. And he ends up showing off that if he tries to negotiate anything as far as his contract, he pulled up his ex-wife as his manager, and that if there's going to be any negotiations, they're going to have to take it up with her. And the way how he was saying that she was fine, I said, Noah, you sly dog, you. I tell you, Noah is out here making moves, child. Derek comes home to Alex. He's pissed that he got arrested trying to find the guy who raped Ruby and shit. And Alex tells him to let it go. And here comes that damn recording from Olivia. And I said, fuck. Then we end the episode off with Carlotta finally breaking down from losing too many people in her life. And she ends up walking down the street with a bottle in her. And I'm like, girl, what is going on? Like, bruh, don't fucking do Carlotta like this. Like, come on. Like, this is too much. But that was Star. Y'all tell me how y'all feel, and I will see you guys later. Bye.